Okay, welcome back to the Are You Strong show. I have a phenomenal guest on tonight, and I need you to be a little patient because I'm going to read off his list of accolades, which I was running out of paper. There's so much stuff to talk about with this young man, but I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to go slow because I want you to hear it all because it's very, very impressive. This young man played football at Clemson University. He got his bachelor's degree in marketing. He's got his professional sales certificate in selling and in operations. He's got a master's degree in business administration, a master's degree in entrepreneurial and business operations. When he was playing, he was a two-time ACC on a two-time ACC championship team. He was the recipient of the Weaver-James-Corrigan Postgrad Award. Now, what's really cool is this award goes to 42 guys out of over 100,000 athletes. That's incredible. What I love about these young men is it's not just about the field, it's about the classroom. All ACC academic from 2009 through 2011. First team freshman All-American, Clemson Rookie of the Year, All ACC team. And this stuff just keeps going. Career-wise, Clemson academic advisor at his alma mater, director of career and professional development, member of the NFL committee, started his own company called the Scholar Ath Elite. He's an author of a book called The Scholar Ath Elite, How to Become an Elite Athlete and Professional. I read it myself. I look on LinkedIn, I put my top 10 takeaways. It's a must read for every athlete out there. Welcome to the show, Rashard Hall.
Jeff, man, it's a blessed to be on. I appreciate the opportunity. Anytime I can get on and not even just talk about myself, but what God's doing through me and how I'm able to just pour into others, I'm all for it. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you on it. And man, I'll tell you, there's a lot more stuff to talk about for you. I just couldn't list it all on one piece of paper. You just have so many things going on. But before I start peppering with a ton of questions I have for you, do me a favor, just tell the audience just a little bit about yourself.
Rashard Hall, man. I'm from St. Augustine, Florida. I take a lot of pride in being from St. Augustine, Florida, because man, I love my community, and it was there where I really learned about servant leadership and really giving back. And I developed a very diverse mindset. If you know anything about St. Augustine, Florida, it's the oldest continually occupied city in the United States. But man, I grew up in the hood of St. Augustine. So I really grew up on both sides of town, and that really produced a real raw, diverse mindset in me, and it really set me up to become a scholar athlete, as I call it today. Because man, I was very ambitious going to college, and I really went with that mindset of being an All-American on and off the field, and off the field paid off even more. So I pay a lot of tribute and homage to my hometown, and man, blessed to have met my bride at Clemson University, have two beautiful kids. And yeah, just love to measure success by how many I bless. I appreciate
Yeah,
it, Jeff.
and Rashard, did I get that right? You have two master's degrees?
Yes. So I have a master's in professional communications and I have my MBA. Yes, sir.
That's incredible. Like, where do you find the time for all that?
Oh man, honestly, you make time. I had a
Right.
wife that was man, she's selfless and we communicate, and I was able to make time to go back and get my master's while my last 2 years at Clemson football working with a paragon of student athlete development and Paul Journey. So really just God's grace, communicating with your spouse, and man, a real want to learn. I purposely didn't go back to get a doctorate, but I went back to get the MBA rooted in entrepreneurship that I knew would
Yeah,
propel me to my dream, which is scholar athlete elite. So
that's awesome. We're going to hit on that deep, which is great. But I want to bounce around a little bit if you don't mind,
no,
and the first question I love to ask all the guests is, I mean, you played at Clemson. It doesn't get any bigger. That might as well be an NFL team, right? But when did you know as a young man that you were destined for that level of athletics? Was it like fifth grade, eighth grade, where you were a late bloomer, high school? Like, how did you know that was going to happen?
Um, I would say I didn't know for sure it would happen until probably about my junior year of high school. But others may say they've known it since I was 7, 8 years old. I was always a standout athlete. I actually played running back all the way up to my junior year of high school when I switched to defensive back. And but man, I was always just a standout athlete and an ambitious kid, and man, had a natural knack for leadership. So, but I knew it when I started getting the offers rolling in. I had a little saying in high school: grind before shine was one of them, and the second
Mm.
was, hey, I'm gonna grind until I get it. And that's something that I still embody to this day in a lot of ways. So I would say junior year of yeah, definitely junior year of high school.
Okay. So did you patent that saying, grind before shine?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say I patented. I can't tell you where I got it from either, but it was definitely a mantra of my high school years.
All right. So tell me about your recruiting process. Today it's kind of crazy, right? What's going on? These kids today, the money, the NIL deals, the agents, the social media. Can you walk us through what it was like for you to be recruited out of high school at that level of athletics? Like, what kind of pressure did it put you under, and maybe your family too?
Um, so for me, my recruiting process was unique in the fact that I didn't get an offer until the spring headed into my senior year. And for me, I was, an all state. I was an all county my junior year, my first year at defensive back. And, I'm wondering what's going on. I'm seeing scholar athletes, even on my team, getting offers that at that time I'm like, hey, they didn't do what I did on the field, but it's not translating. But man, I'll never forget having a talk with my dad. And man, he's a humble guy. He's a straightforward kind of guy. And he was always one of those, good grades is what you're supposed to do, and he cared more about academic, and that was a lot coming from a high caliber college athlete and even few day NBA guy. So really him just telling me to be patient and what happened when it happened and just keep putting the work in was a blessing. Getting recruited by Clemson, came out of nowhere really. Coach Sweeney, before he became head coach, he was just the number one recruiter in the nation and the best wide receiver coach in the nation. And man, he started to show up at our high school, and I started to put some film together, and he came and got CJ Spiller out of a local area a few years before, so he was used to our area, and he started recruiting me. And it was like, hey, you got potential, but we need to bring our defensive coordinator Vic Koning down to see you. And so happens, man, we played Nice the game that he came to see me. Nice, Tim Tebow's school, man, but one of the best schools in Florida, along with us at the time in North Florida. And man, I had two interceptions and a bunch of receiving yards, and they offered me on the spot there. So it was a nice journey. I enjoyed my recruiting process. Transparently, I don't remember a lot of pressure in my recruiting process.
Yeah.
I had scholar athlete like Jacquez Rickerson and Brandon James, who's a Hall of Famer at Florida now, and those guys who came before me who really paved the way. And man, even their parents, like Brian James, man, we got to model after them, and them going before us really helped us in our process. So I didn't really feel in pressure at all. I got to really enjoy the process and really just embrace and just getting all the attention that athlete gets when you start getting 20 plus offers from
Yeah.
universities all over the nation.
So was Alabama banging down your door?
Not even, man. I didn't even have
No.
the offers from the big Florida schools. That's why when I played the big
What?
Florida schools, man, I tried to go off against Florida State every year. I tried to go off against Miami, and I actually did in both of those rivals. But I was a 3-star in Florida. I always joke 3-star in Florida, man. That's 5-star in South Carolina, as I used to joke with my teammates.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't have all the, big schools back in that 2007, 2008 era, but I had enough, and Clemson was
Yeah.
definitely.
And you proved them all, the ones who weren't looking at, you proved them all wrong.
Your words, not mine, Jeff. Your words.
So tell me what it was like to walk on campus, freshman, you're 18, 19 years old, you're a freshman, Clemson, biggest team in the land. What's that like as a young kid when you get into that atmosphere, that environment of such a major program?
Man, for me, it was an honor. It was humbling. It was a college campus like that because I didn't visit a lot of schools. I think I committed to Clemson after just taking one or two visits. Coach Swinney was, man, a recruiter that
Yeah.
was real. He was authentic. I knew I had an opportunity, and I was always an academic guy too. So the academic side, as cliche as that sound, was attractive, but the opportunity to play early as well was attractive as well. So for me, it was an honor. It wasn't necessarily intimidating, but it was an opportunity just growing. Man, we had a freshman class we called New Breed. Between the Jamie Harpers and the Anton McLeans, who I know you interviewed as well. Man,
Yep.
we had a top, I don't know, let's just say top 12, top 10 recruiting class. So we were kind of like a family, man, being in Lightsey dorm rooms and
Yep.
yeah, so it was good, man. Going alongside people and growing with them, it makes, I guess, the outside looking in perspective how big it feels. It didn't feel too overwhelming, transparently.
Well, I mean, because some of the young guys coming in, like it's tough to handle that big transition, But it sounds like you did it pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their transitions. Any transition is going to be, have its moments, whether it's good or bad. I just
Yeah.
said it's easier as a team more so.
So tell me about you're a freshman. Tell me about the locker room. Tell me about your playing your freshman of the year. The impact you made on the team. You become the freshman All-American, All ACC. What did that mean to you when that was bestowed on you?
Um, it meant a lot, uh, but maybe for the reasons you may not think, man. Again, I took a lot of pride in my hometown. Man, one of my best friends, Rashard, he was a freshman All-American at Georgia Tech. And man, back then when Young Jeezy was banging, man, it's like put on for your city. So really it was a great opportunity to lift my city up, to be able to take pride in my city and what we were doing, just to be able to achieve something of that magnitude, especially coming out of the gate. But honestly, I was a redshirt freshman All-American. So, like, my message to all scholar athletes from even then all the way to present day, I tell them, man, my redshirt year made me an All-American. And really just trusting that process. I'll never forget Coach Tommy Bowden, because he was head coach in 2008 for the majority of the season. And, we're in summer camp and he's giving this talk about, I talk about this in my book a little bit, but he's talking about, hey, yeah, some of you all are going to redshirt and you're going to take it one or two ways. And I was one of those guys who really embraced it. And again, just seeing one of my childhood best friends be a freshman All-American, I set that goal for myself, but it was really just to be able to see the city take joy in the accomplishment the way I seen them take it in his accomplishment.
Cool. Can you do me a favor? For those that are listening, they might be saying, "What the heck's red shirt mean?" Can you tell everybody what that really means?
Man, so redshirting now, sometimes you may not even really realize a scholar athlete is redshirting because they get to play 4 games, especially in football. Redshirting back then, you couldn't play in any games. All you would do is be the scout team players, but you were in the weight room probably 3 times as much as the players that were going through the season, and we're in the weight room getting bigger, faster, stronger. For me, man, it was getting ahead academically. I had a goal of graduating in 3 years, so it was a blessing to be able to do that. And I got to enjoy college as a normal college student for a little bit, man. When I'm getting to have them raw moments with my with some scholar athletes, man, I tell them, man, I enjoyed college thoroughly, but it helped me to be able to prioritize, handle business, and enjoy all that college has to offer. So that was a good year just to be able to really, put one foot in front of the other, learn the speed of the game, and so it was a blessing for me. So redshirting is, hey, can't play at all back then, but now you can play at least 4 games.
Yeah. So academics was super high on your list. Can you tell me? I don't know how the guys do it today. I mean, it's year-round football. Like, how did you balance the classroom, football? You got to have a social life. How did you put all that together to accomplish, all the academics you have?
Man, see, balancing. Now let's talk about balancing a little bit. Talk about this in the book as well. Like it's not trying to give everything equal time and equal priority, man. It's really knowing your requirements, man, what's caused of you. But a school like Clemson, man, they put a lot of support around you, especially your freshman year, man. I remember having academic tutors. I had strategic tutors, which were more was just about transitioning into college. But just having a good support system. And again, man, I can't undervalue just being able to go through it with a class of brothers, man. It was like a fraternity we had in our new breed 2008 class. And, half of us, more than half of us red-shirted. So, all of us were in Power Hour, Coach Joy Batson. But being able to just, Maria Herbst, I'll give her a shout out as well. So academic tutoring center. But the resources they put you around you, but understanding that balance isn't giving everything equal opportunity, but prioritizing and really doing it there. And as a freshman, it's like, oh, so you knew that as a freshman? Well, I was able to have some good models and some resources around me, and I just caught on really quick to that.
Yeah. Now, speaking of models, who did you look up to when you were there? You were a freshman, redshirt freshman. Who were the senior guys you say, listen, I want to model what they're doing because they're really killing it?
Yeah, man, big Michael Hamlin. Honestly, watching Clemson play for the first time, believe it or not, people don't really believe this, but man, I love the game of football. But I couldn't tell you which conference schools were in. I just loved the game. So I
Yeah.
hadn't watched Clemson a ton, but when I turned on that Peach Bowl back in 2000 and I guess seven, man, seeing Michael Hamlin fly around, he was always around the ball. And then getting to come in as a true freshman was his senior year and learn up under him, and man had a bunch of leaders, Jock McKissick. So really learning up under them, DeAndre McDaniel, who turned out to be a great best friend, God father to each other's children now. And so those are some of my role models kind of coming into Clemson.
Cool. So Dabo, you mentioned he was an assistant when you got recruited. He wasn't the head guy yet.
Nope.
Wow.
8 games into my true freshman year, he took over on after a Thursday night game in Wake Forest. Clemson
Yeah.
fans remember clearly, vividly that time. But anyway, yeah.
So he in today's world, he's bigger than life right now. I mean, he went from I never heard of him till stardom. What was it like, watching him grow and you being a player under him for the years that you were there, and now do you have a relationship with him today? Can you touch base with him today? How does that work?
Man, talked to coach yesterday. I actually thanked him not just for me, but on behalf of all former players of his. 'Cause if you text him, it'll probably be 5, 10 minutes max before he texts you back. Man, I call Dabo the same OG. Like his all-in mantra that's went, global, and every third sports team has that saying now. Man, he was saying that as just a receiver coach. So it was something that he really cared up, he really embodied and was about him. He's the same guy,
Yeah.
Obviously, he got a lot more M's in the bank now, but man, Coach Sweeney was awesome. So still got a great relationship with him today, man. He'll do anything for his former players. I'll tell a quick story, man. Again, you
Sure.
talk about being an All-American, an All-Conference player, still probably top 5 and 7 different defensive back records. Man, didn't get a call after the draft, man. He was one that really went to bat for me, and really, I think he wrote a letter to every NFL team, and was like, hey, y'all sleeping on this guy Rashard Hall. And man, the Rams gave me an opportunity. It was a great preseason, man. I had a heck of a preseason actually, but hey. um and then so good little story about Coach Sweeney, called that a commercial. And then what was the top of your question, Jeff?
Just what did what was it like watching him grow and develop as a coach and knowing that you're like the first guys underneath his umbrella?
The foundation, as I like to
Yeah.
call it. Man, see, this can get deep. I'm gonna try not to be too long with it, but
Take your time.
with Coach Sweeney, man, watching him grow and develop, it was a blessing for me, man. Like you talking about developing holistically, like way beyond sports, but as a man, as a someone who always knew the husband, the father, the leader, the Christian that he wanted to be. Man, getting to see him grow and embody and not conform to the world, if you will, or sports norms and what's hot and what's not, but really just like he walked into that meeting the very first day in 2008, and he popped up an orange sign that said believe, and he popped up another sign that said it can be done with, can't X'd out of it, just standing firm on those foundations. And then just the way he built the team, his first hire was Jeff Davis, who ended up turning out to be, oh my goodness, my pastor, my boss at Paul Journey. He was the founder of Paul Journey for the past 6 years. Man, I even modeled my wedding ring after Jeff Davis. And I don't idolize anybody, but he put my point is Coach Sweeney put models in front of us of the things he really embodied, that I just mentioned. So it was a blessing to watch him grow, to delegate, to build a program. I know culture is a big buzzword now, but like really developing a culture, man, those are lessons that I take took with me for the rest of my life, still using as I build out the Scholar Athlete Elite.
Yeah.
I run a few co-lead a few nonprofits, man. So those are principles that are interwoven in my fabric, and it's just a man of God that helped me to be able to do that. So, man, it was a blessing to watch him grow, and I got to grow from his growth. And he was never claimed to be perfect, but man, he was one that a blueprint, if you will.
That's awesome. Now, you sound like you're a pretty religious guy. Does it sound is that true?
Um, So religiosity, man, I believe in Jesus Christ, man. I'm
Okay.
not really traditional religious. I don't know how that sounds to different people, but man, I'm a believer
But
in
you believe in something,
believer. Yeah,
right?
oh
You
yeah,
believe,
ain't no doubt
right?
about that.
So did that happen growing up? Was that when you got to college? Was that post college? How did that all come about? Some guys don't find it till later. They find it early in life. How about you?
And my mother, my grandmother, for sure, man. That was the foundation of it. Man, they left it loose enough so that I could find myself and walk in it as a man in college, meaning they introduced me to Christ. They took me to church. Like I wasn't in church every Sunday, but I was in there a few times a month, and my mom and my mother served in the church, and I was always around it. But it was as a young child, I remember when I turned 18, I got a tattoo that said truly blessed. It's still the only tattoo I have today, but that just reminds me kind of even growing up, the first tattoo I got, I wanted it to be meaning behind what I felt like they put as a foundation in front of me. But once I got in college, I got to be up under Jeff Davis and Freeway Church and just find the Lord for myself. And that's when it really took off from there, finding out who you are and whose you are, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's always a foundation somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
facts.
Which is great. So I'm going to ask you two questions. Clemson football, most memorable moment, one, and two, maybe your toughest moment when you were there.
Okay. Most memorable moment, man. I gotta split this into two, man. So I'll never forget Florida State at home. I guess it was 2009. It was 2009, man. We're playing Florida State at home, and I just remember it literally being so loud, what they say, like deafening, if you will.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting about as far as I am from you, even though we're on screens, right, Jeff? But man, I'm talking to DeAndre McDaniel. We can't talk. We just got a hand signal through it. And just being in a big game like that, the essence
Yeah.
of college football, man. So that was just a blessing. I got a game-changing interception in that game, that led us to help rally, and it was a key moment. It was a great game, and again, it's against the rival who didn't give me an offer, and I grew up a Florida State fan, so that was super memorable for me there. And then I'll split that with being in Auburn on the road, same kind of atmosphere. Cam Newton, first year there, the one year they won the national championship, and taking that game into overtime or double overtime, and man, just being in those kind of atmospheres. So I would split it into that too. And then most challenging moment, which turned out to be one of the biggest blessings of my life, transparently, man. So my junior year, I would say I was on course to go 3-and-out. Man, shout out to my scholar athletes here, because when I say this, look at me on this one. I put myself in position to be a 3-out-and-out, but I graduated in 3 years. That was one of my goals. So I had graduated with 2 years of eligibility left. But I also, man, I had like you said, a redshirt freshman All-American year, had some success throughout. So by my junior year, um, like I was touted a 3-and-out opportunity. I'll never forget. Shout out to Tim Ray, the legend. His name will be on the stadium soon if it's not already. But man, he came up to me after one of my years and he was like, "Hey man, draft, scout draft, one of those publications has you as the number one overall draft pick and for the 2013 draft." And he actually wrote an article about it recently. Matter of fact, that's crazy. But um, but for me, getting to your point, I played my junior year and I got hurt in the very first game against Troy. And for the rest of the season, it was like, hey, you can get surgery right now. I had a micro fracture. Anybody who knows micro fracture, pretty serious injury as far as, it takes a long time to heal. It's a bone
Yep.
bruise under the bottom. So I could have got surgery or I could wear an old lineman knee brace all year and play on it. And I chose the latter, man. I was such a team guy. But that led to me we won the ACC championship for the first time in 20 years, by the way. So it was a great decision and never regretted that. But coming into spring, got a new defensive coordinator. I wasn't able to practice all spring, man. I went from a 3-year starter, All-American, to a second, third string safety, man. We had a new defensive coordinator by the name of Brent Venables come in. And man, I just remember, man, it was just a hard transition. I wasn't starting anymore. I'll be honest with you, bro. I felt like, man, nobody's sticking up for me. Nobody's like telling this coach that I should be starting. But for me, I never took that attitude to the facility. While it hurt painfully walking in every single day, to be honest with you, man, there was never anybody more positive than me. I never wanted man to take away from what I felt like God had for me. So, man, I'm encouraging my starters. I'm out there. I'm playing every single rep of second and third team because we were thin in the secondary as well that year. And it took me about 4 games to get my starting spot back. And I like to,
That's a long time mentally,
yeah,
right?
man, I like to joke and say they had to start me, man. I was leading the team in interceptions as a second string safety. I'll never forget riding the bus to the opener against Auburn for the Chick-fil-A opener, man, they got me plastered all over as a defensive captain. And I'm like, man, people don't even know I'm not even starting. So it was a real mental thing for me, but it was one I powered through and became, again, like I started with one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. Because years later, when I got laid off by Merrill Lynch, yeah, you talked about that highlight. You told the glory, but not the story. I'll tell a little bit of the story. It helped me then because my attitude, man, I experience what the Bible talks about is the peace that surpasses understanding, man. I got laid off, man. I went to writing this book, as you kind of talked about, and building this consulting company. Um, and 5 months later, Coach Jeff Davis and Coach Sweeney's asking me to come lead Paul Journey's fifth quarter. So, man, it's that going through that, just mind, body, soul, coming back from injury, really just betting on myself and overcoming that challenge ended up helping me in the long run in life and a testimony I'm able to share today.
I mean, most guys crumble under that scenario, right? Can you talk about the conversation or what maybe there wasn't a conversation that you had with the coach when he said, "Hey, you're not playing, you're not starting." Did you have a chat about that, or they just kind of like said, "Hey, Bill, you're starting now, and Rashard, you're sitting over there."
No, I mean, bro, I love Coach Venables. As a matter of fact, talking to Coach Venables yesterday. But I didn't go through spring. He was a new coach, and he had a whole spring with another secondary and somebody that was playing in the free safety spot, and that's what he felt comfortable rolling into the beginning of the season with. And so for me, it was never really a conversation. And for me, I was a strong leader by then. I had been leading the secondary since a freshman. I mean, even when we were had senior leaders, I just assumed the role as one of the leaders. It was just part of my fabric, my fiber. But for me, I never bent on who I was. So for me, it was like, hey, I'll take the hard coaching, I'll take whatever's going on. I do feel this. This is very real. So I didn't suppress my human experience. But at the same time, again, it was always not letting man take away from me what God did. So it was really just I'm out positive to you. I'm gonna make you wonder how the heck this guy is being so positive and why he's even coaching his person in front of him as hard as he is. So it was mind over matter.
How the heck do you do? I love what you just said. I'm going to out positive you. How do you do that? You know what I mean? When you're faced with such mental adversity and physical adversity, how do you out positive people every day?
Yeah. Man, I'll shout out my Uncle Pearl. And so me, CJ Spiller, Andrew Zhao, who I didn't play with, but learned to know we had the same spiritual mentor in college. It was daily talks with him. And really, so mentorship. I guess the answer is mentorship, taking that blueprint, not acting on my feelings, but getting my feelings out to those kind of trusted mentors before going into a building every day. Um, so yeah, and I had a great girlfriend, which is now my wife, holding me down as well. So it was like I had the outlets I need that most men and young men don't have when they're going through extreme adversity as they do.
So how'd you meet your wife?
Man, one of my infamous house parties, Jeff. Seriously, man, I was a party thrower in college, not extremely because I was an athlete, but check this out. Me and my teammate Cody Sensabaugh, his now wife, Dominique Sensabaugh, was Dominique Jordan then. We started a foundation um back in 2010, 2011 for a classmate who had passed away. And man, we actually used to throw parties to raise money for that endowment that served underprivileged Clemson students that's in existence today. Shout out to the Brian Askew Memorial Scholarship. Shout out to Corinne Liza Grant, who helped us start that, and Freeway Church and Jeff Davis. But yeah, oh, so I met her at the house party. I lost my train of thought.
And
Man, she was a sorority girl, didn't come out a lot. Her line sisters convinced her to come out to one of our parties, and I met her there, man. She wasn't trying to pay me any attention, but I was good friends with one of her line sisters. Shout out to France. And long story short, we were friends first, man. We were friends first, and that was a big blessing. And man, just started growing upon that, and that's where we met. And 2 kids later, it's 8 years in the marriage, and yeah, that's how I met my bride.
you can see the happiness in your eyes, you
Yeah,
know?
man, I hit the lotto on that one. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So you get out of Clemson, right? And you hit the corporate world for a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, how did playing football, how did your Clemson experience, how did that prepare you for that next phase of your life? Because wasn't easy.
Yeah. I would say I validated myself, and I know we'll get into it, but my experiences, which is a lot of what my company is built on, my experiences help validate me as more than an athlete. It gave me that confidence. It gave me that adversity. So when I hit the real world, it's like we say, man, it's transferring intangibles. So that's into life, man. That's into career. That's into a lot of different things, and again, like I can't undermine the growth that I had spiritually in college. So for me, when life hits you, I not only had intangibles from athletics to apply, but man, I had spiritual armor and resources to use as well. So for me, you know, I love the way a coach said it. You probably know the coach. I don't remember exactly who it was, but they say it doesn't get easier, but you learn how to handle hard better. So it was one of those kind of things for me, transitioning from college into the real world, as they say.
Yeah. So tell me what it was like when this is a tough one. It was tough for me, but when somebody else tells you, Rashard, you can't put that helmet on anymore, you're done. How did you handle that transition?
Man, I feel like most of this interview sounds like it was peachy keen for me, and it wasn't, but I gotta just be truthful with how I answer. To be honest with you, the transition for me wasn't as hard as it is for 90% of athletes. Like, validate myself as more than athletes, and that's probably why so much of my company is helping athletes do this before they leave college. But man, I was validated and start walking down two or three dreams before I ever put on an NFL helmet. So, and I always tell people I didn't get drafted by the NFL. I got drafted in Chicago O'Hare Airport when Johnson and Johnson's calling me with a career opportunity of a lifetime because of what I've done off the field. So it's like really walking into doing 2, 3 different internships, micro internships, because athletes, we ain't got time to do 12 and
Yeah.
16 weeks, but those micro experiences really helped me with my transition. And I guess this is a little helpful as well. Like for me, I was working with Johnson and Johnson, and I was just blessed to be in a situation enough to where I tried for the NFL a second time while I was still working a full-time job. So I honestly got to go through the process twice and do pro day again after my stint in the NFL. And for me, that was the just what I needed to just be completely at peace about, what God had for me as my NFL career after 4 games. So, you know, for me, the transition, it was tough. Like I talked about at the very beginning, any transition is going to be tough, but it wasn't crushing because I
Right.
had already, thank you, Lord. I already had been crushed in ways that I saw the oil from different opportunities to be able to, shine light on other opportunities that I had and wanted
Yeah.
to go down. And I was an entrepreneur minded, man. I was selling toys in the second grade, recruiting kids, taking snacks from home. My mom's like, man, where's all the snacks and toys going? Well, I'm selling them at school, mama, in second grade. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur probably just as long as I wanted to play NFL ball. So for me, I guess my experience is a little untypical, but
Yeah.
though that was my transition.
I mean, it just comes down to one word. You were prepared.
Mm,
You were prepared for that transition where most guys, like you said, most guys, they put every ounce of their day into that next level, let's say the NFL, and they try for 2, 3, 4 years, and they don't put their energy anywhere else. So when the NFL says, no, it's not happening, they don't have a next step ready.
mhm.
And that's what this is all about. Is being ready. And for those who can't see, I'm showing Rashard's book. For everybody who's on YouTube, they can see the book, which is a must read for everybody, by the way. I'll say that 3, 4 times. Um,
Great book.
but you were prepared for that next step, which is what's making your transition, for lack of better words, seamless.
No, definitely not seamless, but it was one where it's kind of like if you only had one offer, you know, and you got injured in high school and that school tells you no, but if you had 25 offers and it was a few other avenues that say, hey, we'll take you in, we'll rehab you, we'll nurse some of those wounds and give you opportunity until you can get back on your feet. That's what it was for me. I had a few more opportunities that I felt confident in, that I had validated myself in. So it wasn't seamless, but I was able to uh transition into those. And I'll never forget when my little sister at the time, she's probably 9, Briaja was probably 9, I don't even remember. I was trying out for the second time and I'm working out and waiting for a team to pick me up. And she said, you know what, Brubby, she calls me Brubby, you know what, you're too good for the NFL. And she may have been trying to make me feel better,
She
but
said that when she was 9?
she was 9 when she was 9.
Holy
Oh, no,
crap.
help me do math. I was never a math guy when they
I
started
can't figure that out myself
letters
either.
in it, but we're 7 years apart, so I
All
was
right.
2 and she was,
She's a
yeah,
teenager.
she was definitely older than 9. But yeah, anyways, that's how that went.
So you go from college, you try to make a stint in the NFL, doesn't work out in your favor. You go into the corporate world, had a good stint there, but now your world is different. That entrepreneurial master's degree is shining through heavy now, right? So tell me about the shift from an athlete, and now you're a mentor, you're an advisor, you're a leader. Talk about that.
Um, it really just goes into wanting people to take full advantage of the opportunities they have at hand. And for me, that was athletes. Again, I had a mindset of being an All-American on and off the field. And, it blessed me to the point that I was gaining resources and relationships to the point by my junior year, man, I was getting family members, opportunities with Fortune 500 companies like Coca-Cola just through, resources and relationships. And man, I'm wanting all my teammates to be able to have these kind of things. But, as a player as well, I'm not not pushing it as hard as I do now for my scholar athletes. So really it's just wanting them to be able to max out on their opportunity and realize that, like my book talks about, you can be an elite athlete and an elite professional. You don't have to compromise one for the other. So you can do it at the same time. So shifting into a mentorship role, a leadership role, Paul Journey was a leadership initiative. So like duplicating leaders was something that, was really, I felt like a sense of duty almost, a responsibility. It's just like when I get on the phone with companies or universities all over the nation now, they sometimes can't believe how much I'm opening up and sharing with them, considering I got a company. I'm trying to make money this way. But it's like, man, freely given to me, I'm going to give. And so for me, it was just a mindset of, you know, if I'm able to, and part of the reason I transitioned from Paul Journey, I was blessed with a gift and a talent and a creative mind to be able to create programs that help meet athletes where they are and put them in corporate and entrepreneurial opportunities to validate that they're more than athletes. So I'm wanting to duplicate that all over faster than I could if I was working with just one-on-one. So that's how that kind of transition started to come about, just the mindset of, I guess, team, if you will.
Yeah. When did you know you were ready to make this transition to, working for someone else to working for yourself?
Mm. It was probably, so I worked with Paul Journey for 6 years. Okay. So probably by year 4, I knew that I was ready to pick back up. Because if you remember, I said, man, I had started this company for 5 months. It was a different name. It was called Players Own then, but business lesson, things pivot a lot. But it was by then I knew I had the confidence. Every week I had a different university reaching out, wanting to learn what we were doing in Paul Journey, and specifically in the career realm with the business week trips and the micro internships, and 100% career placement was always a goal. So people were seeing this nation around, and that's how I end up on boards like the NFL and our NBA board with Clemson. So by that time, it was really talking with trusted mentors and just planning it. But I always, and shout out to our Clemson MBAE, it's like the number 10, 11 MBA entrepreneurial program in the world. It was the one I always wanted to go into. So again, that's why I talk about my wife helping sacrifice, night school for 2 years, getting my MBAE. And it literally was designed to help you create a business and launch it into reality. And that's exactly what I did. So it was like just picking up where I left off, using the opportunity I got to develop as a leader and as a professional in Clemson football and Paul Journey. And I was ready.
Can you describe, or because I think people are hearing like Paul Journey, you mentioned the name, but like, what is that? I know what it is, but can you describe what that is to everybody?
So Paul Journey, Paul stands for passionate about winning. Okay. Just think about it in a simple phrase, the paragon of student athlete development. Every college has a student athlete. All Division I colleges for sure have a student athlete development department, but most of the time, it's for 15 to 23 sports and 500 to 1,000 athletes. Paul Journey was one of the first of its kind, or to my knowledge, the first of its kind to have a player development department just solely for one sport. And that's what Coach Sweeney kind of desired, being a guy who, will clearly tell anybody, I'm trying to build men first. So his first hire was Jeff Davis in 2008. So by 2017, Paul Journey came into a full department with, 4 different directors and 4 different pillars. And now we're able to really intentionally develop the 135 scholar athletes that we had. So it's Clemson football's player development, scholar athlete development, as we coined then, department within Clemson football, developing holistically and personal development and leadership, life skills and community service, career and professional development, and we even have a pillar for our alumni.
And you were there, what, 6 years, 6, 7 years doing that?
Yep. So I came in ground floor year 2, year 1.5 of Paul Journey. So yep.
Okay. So what are you most proud of while you were there?
Empowering scholar athletes to 100% career placement.
Mm.
Like, and we did that consecutively for 6 years. And it's so fitting because Paul Journey is a leadership initiative. So, you teach a man how to fish, now they can fish for the rest of their life versus the opposite, which is, whatever word is the opposite of not empowering them. Just being able to help them develop the skills and put the resources around them and help them to get excited. I always said, man, my goal isn't to try to trump football or find a passion that's like this to football, but if I can help you find two or three career passions that's even beneath football a little bit, man,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about you because those transferable skills are going to kick in, man. We had scholar athletes in Hyderabad, India, and London and Montana, 14 different states in the US. Man, we're doing things that are unprecedented in our space at the time that's been modeled everywhere now. And that's a blessing. It's honestly low key the way we wanted it. But so that would be one of that, the 100% career placement for sure. And quickly, the business week trip, experiences. I went on a trip, Gateway to World Markets, my junior sophomore year of college that took 24 regular marketing students up to New York. And it changed my life because it changed my mindset.
Yeah.
I didn't want to just play for the NFL team anymore in the big city. I developed this passion for owning the NFL team one day. So for me, like experiences like that, I always wanted for athletes. So my first year, I was blessed to have a boss with like Jeff Davis who let me come in year one and implement something like that. And, you know, now we've been to New York, been to LA. They just got back from Vegas, have planned that trip in London. So it's it's those.
I can only imagine how your phone blows up all the time from people texting you, all the guys you've impacted and developed and been part of their lives. I mean, your phone just must explode. You must need another phone.
Nah, and I've had the same number since the sixth grade and always will. But it is a blessing. Again, I can't imagine how it feels to be a Jeff Davis or a Dabo Sweeney. I'm starting to get little glimpses of that because, like you said, I helped develop over 330 athletes by the time I left. And for me, I took pride in if a guy transferred, if they got in trouble and left, if they went pro early, it didn't matter. I let them know I'm a lifetime resources and I like to back that up with action. So even some of my clients to this day, one guy in particular I'm thinking of has been to two, three different schools, and now he's one of my client. I'm helping with career placement now. So it it catches up to you when it catches up to you. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that, Jeff.
that's so cool. So the locker room, you know as well as I do, the locker room is probably the greatest spot for any football player to be,
Mhm.
right? Outside the field, right? But that locker room is something special. Tell me, is there something that you've taken from the locker room with you into your journey now that you will continue to use?
I would say building authentic relationships.
Mm.
Like, man, I'm trying to think. I was one of those guys who got married, and it's like I can't pick three, four people. It's like nine groomsmen, and I'm trying to think. Like eight of the nine probably came from that locker room, right?
Yep.
I mentioned DeAndre McDaniels, godfather to my oldest child, Nova. So it's like things that I've taken from that is just authentic relationships. Like life's too short not just to be real and transparent. And then even being a sense of purpose more than just wanting to be friends. Like I cared for those guys. I cared about myself. I cared about the team's mission. I told you it was on that mission to win the first ACC championship. So, man, everybody respected me on the team. I'm not going to say everybody loved and liked me because I was one of those leaders that, you know, when we're outside, man, when we're enjoying college, man, yeah, they love to be around me. But when it was business time, it was business time. And I held people to a high standard. But I had, again, teams, man, captains like Carrico Wright and Jonathan Meeks, Tig Willard, Dalton Freeman. So had guys that were on the same kind of wave and the same kind of vibe. So it was the locker room was transformative. And, I ain't trying to be liked, but I'm built for purpose and he probably get thanked a lot later than right then, but also building authentic relationships. Both of those have transcended the way I work and build as a professional, as a husband, father now as well.
That's awesome. So Scholar Elite. What
Scholar
inspired
Athlete Elite.
Scholar Athlete Elite? Okay.
Yeah.
What inspired that? Where did that come from? What's it all about? Where is it now? Where's it going? I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Man, like I mentioned with entrepreneurship, things pivot so much. I'll start with the name. Like the name is an acronym, the elite is. That's why it is confusing. It's spelled Scholar Athlete, but I pronounce it Scholar Athlete Elite because the acronym is empowering leaders of influence through experiences. Man, that's that word again. Like so much of my validation and what I've seen work for athletes is putting them in experiences, not me talking to them, motivational speaking, but actually transforming them through experiences. So, man, my company is a career agency for athletes, the first of its kind. Basically, we identify great talent, elite talent. We work exactly like a sports agency does. Identify great talent. We develop them through career experiences and meeting one on one, and then placement, putting them on winning teams. And then we have an adjacent nonprofit because for me, big reason I transitioned from Paul Journey was I wanted all levels to have what Paul Journey had, the experiences and transparently, Paul Journey's an endowment. It takes money to do those kind of things, but
Yeah.
I started a nonprofit to make sure D1 through D3 and HBCU and all athletes could experience that level of development to be able to have it. So it's a blessing to be able to run those two entities to make sure athletes, can end up with career placement, but really it's a holistic development. So, man, companies hire me to attract and land the best athletes in the world, especially a sales company loves athletes there. Universities, I walk alongside them with building out some of these career experiences. I don't replace them, man. I just try to become part of their team and use some corporate connections and programming that I've, became an expert at over the past, not 6 years, but since being a scholar athlete. And then professional leagues, usually players associations who, you know, they want to be there for their athletes, curve some of those statistics as well. So partnering with them. And then of course the main is the athlete. Like I represent you. It costs nothing for athletes to work with me. They don't have to pay me. The companies
Really?
who hire them will end up paying me a placement fee. But again, the equitable part and just being able to treat them like the superstars that they are, because they do have a rare set of intangibles. I was talking to Florida State 2 weeks ago, and he explained it a way a perspective I hadn't even considered. Like you're giving these scholar athletes who wanted to become pro athletes, especially playing at this level, but now you're recruiting them again, and you're showing them that they have value beyond the field, and you're treating them like they're getting recruited all over again. And man, he just thought that was super special. Um, so in general, man, scholar athlete elite is it's a calling for sure, but it's the first career agency for athletes. And what differentiates us is we develop our talent before placing them with companies.
Yeah.
Only 1% of, talent acquisition third parties do that. And I'm the only one that does it for athletes specifically, develop and place.
Can you talk about that development and what do the athletes go through with you and what are they hoping to accomplish when they're done?
Yeah. So career placement begin with the end in mind. So career placement is the end goal, but man, where I get my juice at is the development. So whether I'm taking a cohort of 16 to 24 to LA to a Greenville to a New York, putting them in markets, man, I break them down into teams where they can compete, but now they're not competing for positions, but competing as just growing as professionals. And I'm able to expose them to diverse industries. We'll visit 7 different industries in a week. Man, we'll end it with a career hiring fair and a networking event. I call it the Career Triple Crown. So, man, they're developing, they're on teams, and I'm able to evaluate them and give them feedback. So that's a huge development there. Micro internships, meeting athletes with their time that they do have, putting them in markets to get that one-on-one validation outside of a cohort model, meeting with them one-on-one and doing the resume and interview preparation and getting the LinkedIn right, and just doing a lot of that training, whether it's sales, depending on what industry they're going into.
Yeah.
So It's mentorship, professional mentorship, but man, I nothing can beat the career experiences that does a lot of the work for themselves. And lastly, I don't take athletes anywhere without preparing them first. Just like when
Mm.
I wouldn't put an athlete on the field without making sure they're physically and mentally ready and they know the plays. So when I'm putting scholar athletes in the same position to get career placement, man, they're studying the company, they're studying the executive leaders, the industry, they're doing all that homework, and then they see it pay off, and it's just gratifying for me, yeah, but it's validating for them.
Oh, without a doubt. So how much time do they spend with you getting themselves ready to go before that placement happens? Is that a quick
It
time? Is that a while or?
It depends, because I got clients that I've been working with since their freshman year of college, and I got scholar athletes that I've been working with for 2 months, 3 months, and sometimes I can get them if they are a little bit more refined, and again, it's just really connecting them to the right companies, evaluating some of the, hard skills they have and looking at the resume and LinkedIn and may be able to be plug and play. So every scholar athlete is different in time wise. So, again, I work with clients that I've been developing since freshman year and some that I've been developing for a month.
Well, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But that's part of the calling piece, right? So
So I'm going to ask you a couple of thought-provoking, futuristic questions. What
mm,
what what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
um I just gotta go to my life saying, like, measure success by how many you bless, right? So when I think about legacy, I think about being true to a calling. Like, I love the way Miles Monroe says it, make yourself valuable. Like, don't chase the money, just make yourself valuable. The money will start to chase you. So I'm not worried about being provided for in that area, but just being true to the mission. There's a lot of what I call good distractions in the world. So just staying firm on what God's calling me to do, whether it's in scholar athlete elite or nonprofits or ministry, and not being distracted by good things, but just not things that's purposeful, right? Like,
Mm.
all things are permissible, but all things aren't beneficial. So for me, it's a legacy of pouring into others and keeping my eye on what God's doing through me. Yeah, a
That's
legacy.
awesome. So here's a similar question, but a little different.
Mhm.
How do you want to be remembered? When they hear your name, what do you want people to think?
Man, I want to be remembered for someone that was authentic, man, someone that could have fun but still be rooted, man, and still be purposeful. I want to be remembered as a great husband and father, and someone that, truly shared his faith in a relatable way, meaning authentic, man. So many times people think they have to be perfect or believe that they can't just be themselves, but they can. It's just all goes back to doing things the right way. And it's a lot of fun and, doing things the right way. And for me, just as a believer in Christ, like I've shared probably 200 times on this call, is like, man, I can be me. I'm just refined and able to help others be their authentic selves as well and stay true to who they are, but see success as beyond them. Like, it definitely ain't coming success measured by money and houses and different stuff like that. But man, being successful is one who left behind, you know, their principles in other people. Like, when you pour into people, like, that's just like watering a seed. Every seed has 100 trees in it, right? So it's like you're watering somebody that you give them the opportunity, hopefully water someone else, and just, leave that spirit of winning, if you will, within a lot of different people. So I like to be remembered like that.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, big facts. Big facts.
So you're a young guy still. You got a lot of time in front of you. What's it looking like? What's next? What's 3, 5 years from now? If you can paint the picture, what's going on?
Really duplicating what I do. I lead a nonprofit back home. I lead a company. Co-lead a ministry in Christ training with my college teammate and one of my great friends, Jonathan Meek. So for me, man, I'm always a franchise model type guy, a duplication guy, a expansion of leadership guy. So in 5 years, my 5 year performer, shout out to my MBA, have 9 employees under me, but they're head coaches, they're franchise owners, and we got at least 45 clients, and each one of them have, 5 accounts themselves, whether it's 2 schools, 2 companies, and a city that they're running our career discovery week trip in every year annually. My nonprofit back home is rooted in serving the serving the underserved in education, untraditional, so whether it's a high school student going to college or a mom of 3 going back to get her cosmetology license, we do education, entrepreneurship, and we even serve other nonprofits. Man, I want every athlete to have that in their hometown that needs it, at least, and then Christ training, man, shout out to christtraining.org, check it out. But man, just an untraditional ministry where you can grow in Christ, but it's like you can ask questions, you can be authentic, man. You can let it out. You can just be real, stuff you don't really find in traditional churches these days. So expansion of those and just continue to be a God's man and being a husband and father. And I got 2 beautiful kids and I keep it in order, man. God, wife, kids. So just growing in those areas for sure as well, man. I am a young husband, a young father for sure. So just continue to grow and evolve and take heed to the lessons and mentorship as I continue to grow in those areas as well.
It's one heck of a story, I'll tell you that.
Man,
You know, it, so Rashard, we've talked about a bunch of stuff. We went from coming out of high school, getting into college, post college, your entrepreneurship, your book, your company, your future. Is there anything we haven't touched on you think we should hit before we wrap it up?
um, man, I'm excited about this summer, man. I'm really from, the National Football Foundation and their summit out in Stanford, California. Um, to visiting some different schools and talking about some books. We're talking about my book, but not just that, but speaking. I'm excited for this summer and just to be able to get out on the road for the first time again. Um, and man, pray for me. I got 2 products coming into the market. Both have some to do with AI technology. It's a modern vision board and process that also helps athletes become authors and tell their stories. So I'm a true NIL guy. I'm
Yeah,
trademarking currently the term Nilo. I believe NIL is missing one thing, and that's ownership. So NILO, the ownership piece. So I'm really working on some things that are going to help empower athletes to have a microcosm of entrepreneurship. Same way I'm giving athletes microcosms of being career professionals. So, I do have my hand on a lot. I could try to keep it in order, but yeah, that's what's next, and that's what I'm excited about coming up this summer.
cool. I was gonna say, when the heck do you sleep? You know, with all that going on, but it's awesome, and Richard, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. Your story is inspiring to everybody. And if I just can't imagine the ripple effect of what you're doing and how that's just gonna continue to expand with all the people you're touching and the things that you're doing, and at such a young age, and what you've accomplished so far is you should be extremely proud. I'm sure your family is. I'm sure Clemson is. I'm sure your teammates are. I'm sure everybody is. So it's just a great story to tell.
Well, I appreciate the platform to be able to tell it, and Man, I want to leave you with something that's dear to me, especially with the platform you've given me today, just to be able to share a little bit of that story. And it's a quote from Miles Monroe. And everything I'm doing in is rooted in leadership. So I want to give this amazing definition of leadership, if
Okay.
you will. So Miles Monroe said the leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration,
Mm.
motivated by passion, generated by vision, produced by a conviction, ignited by a purpose. So, man, I just want
You gotta send me that. That's awesome.
I'll send it to you right now, Jeff. So, my last words is, man, just want to encourage others, man. Continue to measure success by how many you bless, man, and you'll make yourself valuable. And yeah, I
That's
appreciate
it.
the opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, and I can't wait to see what's next in your life.
Indeed. Glory. Appreciate you, Jeff.